Welcome back to Grappling Legacy Lounge. We're going to recap SubSpectrum.
So, Sub Spectrum is in Iowa. It was a jiu-jitsu tournament that you and Brandon both did.
Yes.
In Cocoa.
In
so
Cocoa.
we took three kids total to Iowa
Mm-hmm.
from Peekapau.
Yes.
It was fun, right?
Yes.
So let's do a little good, bad, and the ugly, right?
Okay.
So let's talk about what went well at the tournament, how the tournament was from our experience, and then what went bad that we can improve on, and overall what was ugly.
Yeah.
That's going to be a tough one because there wasn't a lot of ugly.
No, not really.
Maybe on the way home or the way there. Maybe that was the ugly. I don't. We'll get to that.
Either or.
Let's start with the good, like we said. Tournament started at. We weighed in around 7:30. Was the weigh-ins?
I have no
I think
time.
it started. I think. I think. I was gonna say wrestling. I think jiu-jitsu started at 9.
Yeah.
So, I think from warm-up to start, great. Timing, everything was great.
Yeah.
Plenty of warm-up areas to go to. The facility that it's in is not like a gym. It's not a gymnasium or anything like that.
Like a school.
It's kind of like a school. It was an auditorium. So they have mats on the stage and then mats in front of the stage. And it was set up really, really cool. Lights, like just different lights, music going on. Had a really cool vibe to it, I guess. So you were the second match on mat 2. Oh, that's the other thing. Each mat was streamed. Well, it wasn't streamed. It's recorded.
Yeah.
And they're putting all the matches on YouTube for free.
Yeah.
Another cool thing. I really appreciate Jordan, the guy who runs it, because he really focused on, for the kids, it's called Future Stars. So they really focus on the youth of grappling and want to kind of get their names out, so to speak, of who they are and things of that nature. So if you ever get a chance, this tournament is only in Iowa, so if you ever are in that area or if it's drivable or what have you, I really recommend it. It's on Smooth Comp, so check them out. It's going to be really hard to say anything ugly about it, to be quite honest.
No. The tournament
at least the
overall.
tournament itself.
Yeah, the tournament overall was very good, very well run. There wasn't like any refs that I wouldn't say that were like bad or making any bad calls. I feel like they all were.
Yeah, that's
really
true. Usually you get like one bad ref or two bad refs, or maybe you only have one good ref. That's a good point. Shout out to the refs there, man. They did really well. Again, it is 80cc rule set, so it's like, and they do this in the gi and no gi. So it's submission only until halfway through. Then they call points, and the table will call points, and then the refs will say points are activated. Coaches are always yelling and paying attention to that too. So you're right. I mean, the refs did really well. They knew the rule set. They knew legal and illegal submissions. They knew, illegal guard pulls, I'll call them, because you got called on it in your first match. In your gi match, you just kind of touched and sat, and then he stopped and had you come back up and explain to you, hey, you have to make grips.
Some kind of contact and sit
in
with
no
the
gi, you
contact.
could touch and sit.
Yeah.
But in gi, you can't.
Yeah.
So you were the second match. Brandon was like 10th or 15th matches.
It took a little bit to get
Yeah, it took a little while, which is interesting. Usually it's the other way around.
Yeah.
Usually they
little
start
kids
with the
start.
young kids and go to the bigger kids. Where I think you had both your gi matches before he started his gi bracket.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then you may have... it goes quick, too. They don't give you a lot of time in between.
No.
Because like you had like 10, 15 minutes between gi to no gi.
Yeah.
And I think Brandon was in the middle of his last gi match when you were about ready to start your no gi. Yeah, because he had 1 minute left.
Yeah, I
it was really,
waiting for his-
again, going back to the setup, it was really cool. Brandon was on the floor, the ground level, I'll call it, and they had 3 mats on the ground level, and then they had the 2 bigger mats on the stage, and you were on the mat 2 that was on the stage, and Brandon was on mat 5, which happened to be right underneath that. And I'm coaching, and I look up, and I saw your name on the screen, and you were calling down to me, and the ref was calling down to me, and I said, just give me, I looked at Brandon's time, and there was like 1 minute left. I was like, just give me 1 minute.
Yeah.
And he was cool. They let it go. They brought another match. They kicked off another match, which was good.
Which I finished like that fast.
They finished it that fast, but Brandon's match also had finished like that after I said it. So, and let's talk about Brandon a little bit. Brandon isn't here, but he didn't win his matches, but him and I talked about it, and he had some good takeaways to improve on, right? So his opponent was very strategic and waited until points were in play, and then had his guard open and held him there. Yeah. And then would just pass his feet and run around.
Yeah, like whip
him to the side and then run around
and get side control.
Something that he wants to focus on, that we talked about, is more guard retention. And then she jumped him out. This is like every match was pretty much the same thing for him.
Yeah.
She jumped him out and then would go after an American lock. Yeah. And
when Brandon would try to defend
he would try to defend it.
She'd grab the other arm and armbar it.
Yeah, just go right into the armbar. It was very smart.
Yeah.
Very smart.
Yeah. That's what I do to take the back. I do like an American lock, and when their arm comes over, I just
you push it through.
Yeah, I get the Kimura grip, and then I do the seat.
She was literally going for the American lock, had the Kimura grip on the American lock. He would feed it through and grab this arm, and then she would pummel it and hook it, and then push down and bring her leg around to get to the armbar. It was very, for 8-9-year-olds, that I was very impressed with that.
Yeah.
And he's never had to deal with anything like that.
No.
So there's not too many that I know, 8-9-year-olds, that play submission and grab another submission. That's very strategic. It's pretty advanced. There was one point where he had her back in one of the no-gis, and I thought he was going to win that one. I thought he was going to get a rear naked choke, but I looked over, and his hand couldn't get any further than like her collarbone. And I was like, push it, push it, push it. And then as he started doing that, she was squirming and she switched her hips. She was able to switch her hips and get into like his guard. And then, unfortunately, points weren't going at that point. But then she switched it around. You can yawn. I could see you trying to fight a yawn there.
No.
Yeah, you're making faces. No, everyone can see it.
I have a popcorn kernel in my like gum. So I'm trying to get it out.
Don't you wish you had some water now?
Yeah, maybe.
Look. Okay. Where were we? Oh, yeah, she switched over into a guard. Yeah, and unfortunately, points weren't in play, because I think he would have won that with points, because he swept her. He did a pendulum sweep to sweeper, got to mount, and then she rolled, and he took her back. And but then she rolled again and got into a guard. And then points started coming into play. She was able to open his guard again and did pretty much the exact same thing. So when I show it to him again, because like I watched it a couple of times, when I show it to, because I wanted to see what else to work on, because you could see that there's like frustration too, because he was trying to get her off, and he was, instead of pushing on her hip or knee, he was extending his arms up, and she started to go for an armbar there, and so just little things that we can adjust, and he'll get better. You know.
Yeah.
So give it time. You know. And then your no-gi matches.
Yeah.
They.
I had.
Actually, let's back up to your gi matches, right?
So
because you only had one opponent in your gi and two in no gi.
Yeah.
But we had to move you. They had to move you up.
Yeah.
Right. So like you weighed in at like 117.
Yeah, something like that.
And then it was under. They put you in a bracket of 140 and under. And I think that they probably weighed maybe 130. I don't know their official weight, but they're big kids. So after your first match, I asked you how it was because you did well. You did really well. You got you had 4 matches, 3 out of the 4 of them you double gold.
Yeah.
So 3 out of the 4 of them you got submissions, and then we'll talk about the one that wasn't a submission because that was a entertaining and stressful match at the same.
Yeah. Came down to the last second.
Yeah, it was very well beyond the last second.
Yeah.
Very technical, as a lot of your matches are, especially watching kids at your level who have probably been grappling since birth. It's very cool. It's very cool to watch these, again, future stars, you know. So go ahead. You want to talk about your let's talk about your
my first.
Yeah, let's talk about your
first. You want me to go
one.
like first, third, fourth, and then second, or
No, let's talk about your second one first because that was the only
Okay.
one you didn't get a submission in.
Yeah. So my second match. So before this, I was trying to my whole plan for gi was to pull guard and work worm guard. So like the instructional video that I was showing, a little
the
maybe
worm
like
guard.
a week ago, I was trying to work that. So, I'd grab and sit. My first match I got called because I grabbed and I let go before I sat down, so they made me stand up again. But I grabbed and sat, and then I couldn't do the worm guard because he was grappling on his knee, or he was passing guard on his knees. So it was
So he's crowding you.
yeah. So I couldn't really
Were you in a closed guard? You were.
Yeah, it eventually got to a closed guard because it was well, I'm not just going to sit here and let him just try to pass my guard because I'm not going to be able to get the worm guard or anything. So I was like, okay, I'm going to put you in my guard.
On.
Yeah. So I put him in my guard. If there's any submissions there, like Kimura or a triangle, I try to go for it. Or a bump sweep. So a bunch of times I was able to bump him and get on top of him, but I wasn't able to hold it for the 3 seconds. So he'd kind of just roll me over, and so I wouldn't get my points. I also had a pendulum sweep on him. Rolled over, got him there, and then I'm pretty sure he just rolled out of it too.
Yeah, you had him in a you pendulum went into mount. Points were in play at that point.
Yeah.
You went into mount, but you couldn't hold it for the 3 seconds that you're supposed to hold him for.
Yeah.
And he rolled it. Again, bigger kid. He's very well capable of doing that.
Yeah.
That's happened to me many times where I think I'm going to mount on a bigger person, and next thing I know, they're in my guard. Which is pretty much what happened to you. You had a lot of triangle attempts.
Yeah.
So
I had a lot of submission attempts that match, and then, time goes up, it's 0-0, and what SubSpectrum does when it's tied 0-0 or 1-1 or whatever point it is.
yeah, if it's tied at the end of normal rounds,
Yeah.
they do a sudden death overtime, just like ADCC.
Yeah, and it's infinite.
Yeah, which I think is cool. I don't. It's not an infinite round. It's not until a point.
Yeah, it is.
I thought they had a timer going though.
Well, they had a timer.
I think it may
there,
have been
but they,
5. I think it
don't
was
think,
another 5-minute round.
Really, I thought it was. I'm pretty sure it was infinite, but it might have been.
It was. I don't know what would happen if you guys didn't score at the end of whatever that time was. I'm pretty sure it was another 5-minute round.
Mm-hmm.
It went for a long time.
Yeah.
They started on their feet and they were going takedown for takedown, defending,
Mm-hmm.
and got into this weird scramble where
Yeah.
they were both
So
spinning around all over the place.
Yeah.
He almost got onto your back. He was really high. You were tripoding, trying to go out the back door, and then I think what ended up happening was you tripoded enough. He slid off because he never had complete control.
No, he didn't have the six in.
It doesn't matter. Remember, if you take someone down, you can be in referee position, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he never quite got there and never got quite the control he needed.
Yeah,
he was really high,
Yeah.
slipped off. You ended up on top, and the ref stopped it and went over and talked to Jordan to confirm it, and then came back, raised your hand that you won. While he was gone, your opponent's coach and I were talking, like how technical you guys were and how awesome it was, and I was like, I kind of wish there was another match.
Yeah.
And there was, because there was a no-gi match that you
Yeah.
guys had to do, but it was awesome.
Yeah.
From a father/coach perspective, mostly father, it stresses the bejesus out of me. But it is so cool to watch you grapple. You know, it's cool to watch Brandon grapple. It's cool to watch Madison grapple. I just watching you guys as a whole, from when you started, like you started, is how Brandon is now. You know, so you set the bar high for these kids. You know,
Yeah.
so. But I think it's awesome. I think it was awesome grappling, an awesome exchange between you and that other kid, and then we go on to no-gi, and like we were saying earlier, no-gi, the turnaround was quick. Like we said,
quick, yeah.
Jiu-jitsu started at like 9, and all the kids' matches were done by noon-ish.
Yeah.
I want to say.
Yeah.
Which we're gonna get to too, because that's another good. After you got into your no-gi stuff, you had 10 minutes. Your first no-gi match was against someone you didn't face in gi, and you hit him. You won with a darce.
Yeah.
So that's your first darce, right? Because that was another thing that we've been working on.
That
was
might have
darces.
been the first darce.
I think that's your first darce in competition.
Yeah.
So.
Because I was just there. So for both my no-gi matches, the idea was because no worm guard, so. And because usually these tournaments have been leading up to pans, so I've been training like a lot in the gi. So for no-gi, I was just going to do my regular game and like focus more on wrestling because I have wrestling coming up too. So I was able to take him down with a high crotch, I'm pretty sure. Went to side control, or he was in side control. And then I think it was just there. He was just on his side, and
you were like in a you were passing his guard, and you reached over because I yelled out for a cradle to do an inside cradle to pass his guard, and you were going with the inside cradle, and then you looked up over at me, and I said the guillotine's there too, and then he moved his head back, and I said darce, and then that's when you moved your inside arm in, and was able to pull his head in to do it.
Yeah.
So, it was good. I for a minute I thought you were going to have to transition to a Japanese necktie because I thought he had you in a half guard, but he didn't.
Yeah.
He didn't. So.
That was my first no-gi match.
There is something I want to go back and talk about in your second gi match.
Oh yeah.
Because at the beginning you didn't pull guard and work lasso.
No.
You actually went for a flying armbar.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Now I remember. So basically, my second match, since I wasn't able to really work worm guard on him, it was more like I'm gonna try to take him down, see how it goes. I couldn't really take him down because you
had some good snaps, but the problem with the snaps in a gi is that when you do it, you're not high enough on the lapel.
Yeah.
You're getting the lapel way down here.
I should have
and you're like jerking, their head goes like this, right? If you get it up high and jerk, you're going to have more control of it, just like you would if it's a collar tie.
Yeah.
Right? So it's just little things that we can work on, you know?
Yeah.
If you like snaps, which I like snaps.
Yeah.
And I know you like snaps. So why not use the gi to snap? We can work on it. You just got to work on getting that grip.
Yeah, just high up.
The grips in gi jiu-jitsu are really key. So.
Yeah, that's what makes it different.
Yeah. And so anyway, those are some takeaways to work on. Other takeaway to work on when you're in the gi.
Yeah, I would say
that you're in positions. This drives me bonkers when anybody does this. When you're in, like, I'll call it a quarter mount or quarter guard, and you're getting really high. Like, you give a lot of space between your chest and their head, and then you like to put your fist on the mat. That drives me nuts because you have no control over, and you place it there for no reason. Like, you're not trying to get control over them or anything. It's not like you need to balance yourself. You just place it there. And when you do that, you're giving up possible control over, their body. And you're really high. So if they start bridging out of that, you're going to fly off of them.
Was that my first or second match?
I believe it was the second match that you were doing that more in. You did a little bit. You did a little bit in all your matches, to be quite honest. But I think you did it more so. The particular ones that I'm thinking of is in your second match, because he almost looked like he was going into like a deep half guard, which is like what Chandler likes to do. And you're up on his head, and then all of a sudden you plant your hand and like do this, or both hands are on the ground, and I'm like, why are your hands off the mat? Get your hands off the mat, you know. Put them on them, especially if they're wearing a gi.
Yeah.
You know, so that's another thing that we can work on. You know.
Yeah, I'd say for gi, I had 2 highlights. At least for me personally, I had in my first match, I hit the ninja roll.
You hit the ninja roll.
Yeah.
That was in the second match, actually.
No,
No, you're right. It was in the first one.
That was how
It was
I
in
took
the first
back,
one.
and then
That's right.
That's how I
That's how you finished it. Yep.
Yeah.
You're right.
So I hit the ninja roll. That was really cool because
Yep.
we were working on that probably a month ago. And then probably my favorite one, but I didn't get to finish it. It was in my second match.
The flying armbar.
Yeah. I tried to hit a flying armbar, and I was looking at you.
That was very. I didn't know that that's what you were talking about. I thought you were talking about like a throw by or something. I'm like, I knew we were in the gi, and throw bys in the gi are going to be rare, or harder to get because of the grips.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I guess if you think you could try it. And then the next thing I know, you're going for a flying armbar. I was like, oh, that's what you wanted. Okay.
Yeah.
So.
Although throw by would have probably been smarter because
I don't know. I don't think so. I think he had a grip on you.
Oh really?
That's why I was like, I don't think it's gonna work. But
yeah. I tried to hit the flying armbar. It was almost there, but then he just.
Yeah, he quickly. I wouldn't say he quickly reacted to it, but he reacted to it at the right time.
Yeah, and I think from there I went to like turtle, and then I just like sat back up.
Yeah, you kind of rolled through into a guard.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did really good coming out of it.
Yeah.
So.
You're
right. You're right. In your 2 gis, that's a good takeaway. Those are good highlights.
Yeah.
So. And then the Darce, obviously, and the no-gi we just talked about, and then your last match in.
I went
no-gi.
against the dude from my gi matches,
right,
where I was able to take him down.
Yes.
Because I feel like in gi it's hard to do takedowns because they could just grab you and
the fabric of the gi.
They could just post that, like stiff arm you basically, and you.
I think grips play a part of it. That's why I like getting that lapel grip and shooting for the outside single much. I think that or arm drags are really good, and then obviously like judo throws, like uchimatas and stuff like that.
Yeah, if you definitely know judo, it's gonna benefit you in the gi.
Yeah, which are all things we can work on.
Yeah,
so I think those are good and some good takeaways. Obviously, the hands on the ground, you got to clean that up a little bit. What else? That's another good thing that I wanted to bring up about this tournament. Is again, it's called Future Stars, and it's really about the kids and the youth and future stars of jiu-jitsu. And one of the ways that Jordan likes to showcase it is that he does an award ceremony at the end.
Yeah.
So you don't get your medal like most of these tournaments.
You just like walk up and be like, "This is my bracket. This is my name,"
and they just give you a medal and you move on. He does a whole award ceremony at the end. Much
so
like
you have to stay.
If you've ever wrestled and you've gone like downstate or anything like that, it's very much like that. Where at the very end they do a whole award ceremony. They call your bracket up. He doesn't necessarily have podiums, but what he does have is a cool backdrop for future stars. He brings that on stage. Again, we're in an auditorium, so he brings that on stage. They have a smoke show. They have lights. They have music going. And he announces each person, what place they're in, and bracket, all that stuff. And then they're awarded their medal. They get professional photos taken, which are also show up online and they're free. Jiu-jitsu photos guys, they do a fabulous job. Again, the experience is amazing. It's all about the competitors and the sport of jiu-jitsu, and I think it's amazing. I hope he really expands it out and can grow off of it. I would love to see more tournaments do qualifying tournaments. That's one of the things.
It's a cool aspect of it.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that turned me off about IBJJF now, and like
Yeah.
their worlds and master worlds and stuff like that.
Mhm.
You don't have to qualify to get
No,
there.
you
You
can
just sign up.
yeah.
And I mean, granted, like if you do these opens, you get points, and that helps you with your seating.
Yeah.
But it don't matter if I only do masters,
Yeah.
and I'm that confident, or let's say I'm just the best person to sign up that day.
Mhm.
You know, because you're never really the greatest or anything. But let's just say
Yeah.
you're really good at jiu-jitsu, and you only do that one tournament, and it doesn't matter how many points you have in opens, because you're gonna go through these guys. Now that's an oddity, and I don't just do one tournament, and that's never happened. At least for me, it's not happened. But it could very well happen. I would love to see more qualifying. ADCC does it,
Yep.
right? They have their trials that go into worlds.
I think. Well, I don't know exactly. AGF, I know they have a world tournament.
Yeah.
I believe. Like I don't. I think you have to qualify for it.
I want to look into that.
Yeah.
Because I know that they have qualifiers for their USA grappling team, but I'm not sure. I want to look into that a little bit more too. But you're right. AGF could be something that we can look into.
Mhm.
But I want to support more of that style of jiu-jitsu where you have to earn it.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
you can't just sign up day of or week of or month of and go and see how well you do.
Yeah.
I think that's good for you if you can, but
Yeah.
like, and when you're my age, maybe that's what you need, and that's what
Mhm.
they need to get people to sign up.
Mhm.
Because
Those are what the opens are for.
yeah, that's what the opens are for. But I want to, I know, like we were just talking to Joe, and Joe asked me if I am past my prime. Yeah, I may be past my prime,
Mhm.
but I still want to compete.
Yeah.
You know, so let's see more qualifying tournaments. Let's see more of this style where it's submission only and then leading into points, or even the UFC BJJ is kind of cool, where it's got three rounds,
Mhm.
3 5-minute rounds, and they have a judging and scoring system, but it's really for submissions, you know?
Yeah.
I'd like to see stuff like that. Like I said, qualify, make everyone earn it. Don't just sign up. So that's what I'm going to say is really good about this tournament. Let's talk. I mean, we did touch a little bit on the bad, and the bad's kind of still a cross between bad and good, because there's things to work on.
Yeah.
Always things to work on to improve.
Mhm.
So there's not much bad that I can really talk about,
Yeah.
other than, you know, it is for us, it's a 5-hour drive.
Yeah.
So I think the bad on us was the timing when we left. I taught a wrestling class, and then we left around like 6:30.
Yep.
Got in around, you know, this is another reason why
10-ish.
Brandon was probably a little tired. We got in around like 10:30. Had to get up at 6 to go and get weigh-ins and get a quick breakfast, and then boom, right on
Yeah.
the mats.
And then literally, like right when we're done, we got something to eat and then back on the road.
Yeah, got something. We got something to eat and back on the road. So yeah, another 5 hours home. We did stop at the world's largest truck stop.
Yeah.
We were there for a lot longer than I thought we were going to be, but it's huge. It really is the world's largest truck stop.
You look
can
at
live
it.
there.
Yeah, you look at it and it's like, well, they can't be that big. You
Yeah.
go in the store, it's like a mall. It's like
It's huge.
there's so many stuff.
It was like never.
Hats,
It was never ending.
merchandise. They had like 5 different stores in there, and then you even go deeper. They have like truck modifications.
Yeah,
have,
they had every part you need to know for a semi.
Yeah.
They had, obviously, which every truck stop has, is
Yeah.
showers and stuff like that
Yeah.
for semi
truck
drivers, which
yeah.
is good.
And then they had a freaking restaurant in there.
They had several. Well, they had several fast food restaurants, but they had an
Yeah,
actual
but they
sit
had
down.
an actual restaurant.
Yeah, they had an actual sit down restaurant.
Not like a fast food
yeah,
place.
yeah. So overall experience, out of 10, what would you give it?
I would give it 7 out of 10
7 out of 10 for the
Yeah.
whole thing.
for the whole thing.
Why so low? I feel like that's low.
Well, I don't know. Like,
I was gonna give it a 9, and the only reason I was gonna give it a 9 is because I picked the wrong hotel.
I just didn't get that many competitors, and I was rating it off of that.
That's fair.
Like I'd say like a 10
That's
would be
fair.
like ADCC
So
Worlds.
if we were gonna say bad, the bad is that the lack of competitors.
Yeah.
Which was surprising because when you
Yeah.
first went to do this, there was more.
Oh,
When
yeah,
I
there
when I
was
went
so
to do
much
this, there was
more,
more.
I feel like.
Either kids competitors or just jiu-jitsu because it's like that with other tournaments too.
Mm-hmm.
And it may be that we have too many tournaments to do, and they're all over.
Mm-hmm.
But if you had to narrow down and only select a few tournaments to do a year, this should be on your list of at least the top 5 to do.
Yeah.
Especially if you're in the area.
Yeah, it's like I feel like every time when I walk into the like tournament area, it's just like mind blowing because it's a very cool setup.
Yeah, the setup alone makes it worth doing.
Yeah,
you know,
it's like
and the fact the setup alone and the way that it really showcases future stars, and by future stars it could be anyone that does grappling.
Yeah. Anybody who's moving up in the ranks.
Anyone who's moving up in the ranks. Like if you're serious about your jiu-jitsu, you know, in your youth competitor from 7 years old all the way to 16, this is a tournament for you. Mm-hmm. And then even if you're an adult or a master and you go and do SubSpectrum, the adults version,
you can make money.
You can make money. They pay out for the absolute, which I would love to see more tournaments do. Mm-hmm. Pay these athletes. It's all about the athletes.
And also for the adults, when they're warming up, they get to see the award ceremony for the kids.
That's true, because they kind of, if you get there early enough, they do. Warming up with a smoke machine is pretty rough, which we know because we have a smoke machine here.
And the music blasting.
So, yeah. Well, the music blasting is cool. I think the whole vibe of that tournament is amazing.
Yeah.
So, I don't think I could say anything bad about the tournament itself.
No, the only thing, like, there's only like,
other than the low attendance number, but
there was like sometimes where it'd be like dead silent, and I'd be like, might as well nobody like cheering, like, or coach is yelling, like it was just dead silent, not a word.
I don't remember there being silence.
Because they weren't like playing music when people were competing, which I kind of found interesting. I feel like they always do that. And when I'm competing, I don't even hear the music.
You're focused.
Yeah.
I don't remember them playing. ADCC plays music the whole time, and I don't know that they did last time or not. Now that you say that, they do have a pretty good sound system though.
Yeah.
Like I said, the whole setup, the whole presentation. The presentation and setup, I'm going to give that a 10.
Yeah.
The driving out there, I'd give that a 6 to 8. Hotel selection. It is in Des Moines, Iowa. So you're kind of limited on some of the hotels, but like we stayed at Holiday Inn, I think it was.
Yeah.
And it was only maybe 4 or 5 miles away from the venue. And truthfully, it wasn't that bad.
It was more parking.
It was more the parking because they had one of the parking garages were being repaired, so it was closed.
Yeah, it was just the convenience.
Yeah, the convenience of the parking was a little rough. Other than that, not a bad experience. Mm-hmm. It wasn't horrible. I know we said it was ugly, but like that part was ugly, but it's fine. Not controlled by the tournament at all. And you can't control who signs up, unfortunately. But again, I think if like people like you and I that have like a voice here, we put it out there. Hey, this is a tournament to do. Like I said, it's top 5. So if you're in Nebraska, surrounding states, Minnesota, Kansas, Illinois, whatever, Missouri, whatever, wherever, right? Iowa. Check it out. It's pretty cool. It's a good tournament. Mm-hmm. So next is for you is Kids Pans.
Well, this weekend I have.
Oh yeah, that's right. You have a wrestling tournament this
Midwest
weekend.
Nationals.
That's right. I am. This weekend we kind of go our own different ways. You have Midwest Nationals, which is preseason nationals, I think, right? No, preseason nationals is later on, which is also in Iowa, which will be cool. Yeah. That will be later on this year. But you have preseason nationals, which is in Bloomington, Illinois. With your high school buddies, your high school team. Yeah. So good luck to that. I will be I'm flying out early tomorrow morning to Connecticut to help Tap Cancer out, raise money for cancer in Connecticut, running their tournament out there. But I want to hear, when I get back, maybe we do a recap of your experience.
Midwest Nationals.
And I want to hear it. And I'll give you a GoPro. You can record it. Or use your phone. Use your phone.
Whatever. Actually,
whatever.
probably a GoPro. 'Cause
Yeah?
it's going to be it's a 2-hour drive there, and I don't want to waste all my phone.
Yeah, that's a
battery.
good point.
So.
That's a good idea. Cool. All right. Well, until the next one, how do we wrap these things up? We just cut it out like boom and bang and.
Or